Okay, let's get started with today's lecture. We were left with just a couple of examples from this topic, string, right? So I hope we'll be able to complete it within the next 10 minutes, maybe, right? And then we'll move to the next topic, right? So I'll just, you can say, give you a detailed example of some of the functions that we had seen yesterday, right? So we had seen many functions, but one of the very useful function, as I told you, is the find function. Okay, and normally find and substring, they are used. You can say together, right? Because you will use find function to find something, and then you can use the substring function to actually split the string, right? This is something very common that we normally do. Okay, now in order to take a concrete example, right? Suppose that you are getting an email from someone, right? So the header of the email is normally like from, say, abc at xyz, right? So it is something like this. Normally in the header of the email, you have this information that who is the sender of this email, okay? Which actually is a string. Okay, so suppose you want to extract the email address of the sender from the string. Okay, so it means that you have to pick everything which is after the colon. It means you have to pick this part, right? Now one way could be that you can use the substring function and you can manually count that, okay, this f is at position 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, position 5, so I need to pick everything from position 5 till the end of the string, right? But you see, this manual counting will not work. Why it will not work? Because uh, you can also have a situation like this, that now this email is coming from a server where the platform or the server language was English, right? If the same email is coming from a server where the default language was French, so it would be something like, rather than from, you will have the, which means from in English, right? Something like this, ABC. So it means if you have manually counted that, okay, I have to skip first 5 characters, then if email is coming from a different server, it will fail, right? Because in this case, you only have to ignore the first 3 characters, D, E, and colon, right? If it is some other language, maybe there are 4, 5, 6 characters, so you are not sure. Okay, so this is why, as I told you yesterday as well, that manual counting was just to give you an idea that how things work, right? Practically, you will not be doing it manually. Now, then, what can we do? We have something which is a separator, which is this colon. Okay, so irrespective of what the language is, we are sure that if we know where the colon is, then after the colon is basically the email address, and before the colon is basically, you can say, just the information that from which sender this email is coming, right? So if I can find the position of the colon, and then I can use it to split the string using the substring function, so I'll be able to have my email address. Okay, so now let's see how we can do this. So we have the find function, which gives us the index of, you can say, anything that we are looking for. Okay, so we can write s dot find. Okay, now what we are searching for, colon. So you'll say, okay, give the position of the colon. Now what is the position of the colon? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the colon is lying at position 4. Okay, so it means now I can split this string into 2 parts, right? So I can say string prefix, right? Prefix means whatever is coming before the colon. So I can write s dot substring. Okay, so from 0, how many characters I have to pick? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 4 is the value which is basically in this variable index, right? Which is the colon position. So I can write here index. So now what will happen? It will go to position 0, which is F, and it will pick 4 characters, FROM, right? So this is the prefix. It means we have the first part of the string, which is stored in a variable which we are calling prefix, right? Similarly, if you want the email address, Okay, so what I have to do, I know the position of colon which is in this variable, right? So I will pick everything from the next position, right? Because if I pick from 4, colon will also be coming. I don't want this colon. I want to pick everything from 5 till the end of the string, right? So you know that you can call this function like s dot substring index, which is the position of colon, plus 1. Okay, why plus 1? Because we don't want to pick the colon. And if you give only one argument to this function we discussed yesterday, it will go to that position and pick everything till the end of the string. Okay, and now you can convince yourself that whether you are getting the correct email or not by displaying it to the user, right? Now you see this program which we have written here, it will work perfectly fine whether you give this string as an input, okay, or you give this string as an input, or any other you can say string in which the text is in any other language. The reason is that we are not making our program dependent by counting the number of characters. We just know a rule that we have to split the string based on the position of the colon, and the position of the colon is calculated automatically. Everything on the left of the colon goes to one variable, everything on the right side of the colon it goes to another variable, and we are able to extract useful information. And the same idea you can use actually for you can say many other applications. Like for example, I told you that telephone numbers may be separated by hyphens, country code, city code, and then the you can say actual telephone number. Then in a passport number, social security number, or your CNIC number, right? You have a separator. So you just find the position of the separator and you can split your string into different constituent parts, right? Which can be very helpful when you are writing. Similarly, you have your enrollment number, right? So you must have noticed that you see the 01 is actually Islamabad campus, 0203 Lahore campus. And then you have, I don't know, 249, maybe 15 too. So this 249 is basically code of the program. BSCS is something else, BSIT is something else, and so on, right? This 152 means 2015, and this 2 means fall. For spring it is 1, right? And then after this you have your actual number, which is a 3-digit number. Okay, so if I ask you, okay, tell me, I give you an enrollment number and I ask you, okay, in which campus the student is enrolled. So what you will do, you will split it using hyphen. So if it is 01, you will say Islamabad campus, 02 Karachi campus, 03 Lahore campus, right? If I ask you whether the student took admission in spring or fall, again you will split it and you will you can say extract the information, right? Of course, in this case, the number of digits in enrollment number is fixed, so you can actually manually do that as well, right? Because you will always have same length in the enrollment number. But still, it's a good idea that you write a dynamic program that tomorrow we have we change something, we add a digit to have some more information. Your program still works, right? So this is, you see, a very simple function, find and substring, but helping us solve very you can say useful problems, right? So this is the same application, the same program, which you can see on the slide, which we made, right? Find the position of the column, pick everything on the left of the column, pick everything on the right of the column. So you have basically extracted the email address from this particular string using find and substring, right? Okay, now just a few quick remark, just a comparison that how the C++ string class makes your life very easy, right? So you see, for very simple tasks, if you are using an array of character in C, you had to call these functions, right? Just for copy, you are not allowed to use assignment operator with arrays of characters, right? You had to call the string copy function where you have source and destination, right? So you see, only for copying, you had to call a function, but here we just use assignment operator. Similarly, if you want to concatenate to a string, you have this plus operator here, you had to call a function. For comparison, you had to call a function which returns different values, +1, -1, 0, that it is greater, first is greater than second, or less than, or 0 if they are equal. But here you have all of these relational operators which you can use, okay? Similarly, and this maybe this will give you another aspect that if you see how do you compare or find the size of the string, this will also give you an idea of the difference between structured and object-oriented programming. You see, in object-oriented programming, we say if I have a string, I just call a member function and it tells me how many characters are there. Okay, nothing is going as input to this function. On the other hand, in structured programming, you have a function, standalone function. You pass it a string and then it returns you that how many characters are there. Okay, so you see again, just like we were doing with area of circle. So in case of object-oriented programming, we were calling the function like this. We don't need to pass anything. Circle already has its radius, right? Data and functions are together. In object-oriented programming, sorry, in structured programming, you have area function. You pass it radius, and then it computes area. So now you see it's a similar concept which is illustrated in this function, that in structured programming you have a standalone function, you pass it a string as input, it gives you number of characters. Here, since string is a class, so you don't need to pass anything. It already knows that how many you can say characters are there in this string, right? And finally, you can pass string to any function just like any other data member, right? Just like you pass a basic data type or a point or a rectangle or anything else, you can actually pass string to a function. You can take array of string, right, and call by value, call by reference, all those things which are valid for any other data type, they are also applicable to the string, right? So with that, we conclude our topic on string. So in general, if you have any comment or questions, please let me know before we move to the next discussion. Thank you.